Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Thank you very much. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, text 13. There are a number of points I'd like to make before actually reading the verse. Number one, text 13 and 14, when they're taken together, they amplify, they expand upon text number 9, which was Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yogati Tattvata. So Krishna is saying that as against seeking immediate results by worship of demigods, by worshipping him, through the varnashram system, one will not be bound. If you remember, when you worship the demigods, you are still bound by karmic reactions. So the difference by worshipping Krishna, on the other hand, through the varnashram system, is that one is not bound. That's the first point from text 13 and 14 taken together. And then secondly, Krishna makes the point in this verse that by design there are 4 social divisions in human society. It's not accidental. It's by design. And why is that? Because Krishna has created it like that. Just like why is a car the way it is? Because the designer has made it like that. A car could have been different, but that's how he made it. Krishna could have had 5 social divisions, but he has 4. So that's by design. Part of that point about Krishna's, this 4 social divisions being there by design, is that Krishna is not only the creator, but he's also the dispenser. He dispenses it. He puts you in one of these categories. You have no choice. And so even though he is doing that, himself, he is not subject to that. He is not subject. He is not affected. He is not subject. Thirdly, there's a point that needs to be made regarding the chapter 4. There are 2 themes going on here side by side in the chapter. The first theme is that the process of prescribed duties, that includes yajna, yoga, concepts of yajna and yoga, that's going on. That's one theme in the chapter. There's a second theme that's going side by side, and which is that Krishna has a unique position in comparison to everybody else. So 2 topics are going on. So sometimes this theme is being discussed, sometimes this theme, and sometimes they're both in the same verse also there. So in fact, in this verse, text 13, he speaks of both these themes now. So just so you know what's going on. In other words, the chapter is not disjointed. Sorry, would you like to say something? Chapter 4? Chapter 4? No. This is a special Friday, Saturday. Oh, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, it's a break from Sunday to Thursday. Okay. So whatever I finish on Saturday, I carry on Friday. Chapter 4, text 20. Okay, so in this verse, text 13, Krishna will combine both those themes together in the same verse. So finally, having said those 3 points, here's the verse. Chatur varnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram apimam vidhi akartaram avinam. So varnya, Prabhupada says divisions. For human society. And varna has also meaning of divisions, categories, colors, qualities, attributes, and distinctions. So we're going to come back to that in this class, this interesting point about varna. So Srishtam, Krishna is clearly saying, I have created Maya Srishtam. They are not accidental. But although he has created it, he hasn't created it according to birth. He has created it according to guna karma, vibhagasha, in terms of the division is in terms of these guna and karma. So the next point and next theme in this verse is tasya kartara. Even though I am the creator, the father, apimam, vidhi, please know, you should know, that you should understand, akartara. And I'm still not the doer. Avyayam, and I'm unaffected, unchangeable. Okay, so let's take the two words together, akartaram, avyayam, together. So I am, Krishna is saying, I'm not the doer. I'm unaffected to do. I'm unaffected, even though karta ram api mam. Even though I have created it, I am still unaffected, and it does not. Actually, the word avyaya means to deteriorate. So I don't become tired. I don't lose anything. I'm not any less by doing this. So the main thing is he is not subject to this system, even though he is the creator of it. And so there's an interesting point there. That means he has no varna. Krishna is not got any varna. He is not in one of these categories. That's a very interesting. Remember two themes: Krishna's special, unique position, and the subject of yajna, yoga, and prescribed duties is going on, right? But he doesn't. He has not got any varna. So he facilitates. He facilitates this system. But another interesting point to observe is we're talking about the humans here, not all living entities. humans, okay? Just you might, overlook that, but it's, because generally we're always talking about living entities, but here it's human. Now, the question comes up, why does Krishna say akartaram avyayam? Why does he have to say? Because there's a general principle that if you're the creator of something, you're responsible for its consequences. For example, if you make a car that is unsafe, you become liable, you see. You become responsible for that feature that you designed. Now, there's an interesting thing. Car is kind of, what if you were the maker of a law, of a rule, a regulation that is faulty? Now you're responsible. You see. Do you see why the question comes up? It's like, okay, Krishna he's unaffected, but I didn't even know he was going to be affected. Well, think about it. Generally you are. If you are the creator of a system and the system goes wrong, well, because it was your system, you are liable. In this particular case, it's a perfect system. And Krishna is pointing it out. And I am not liable. It has no faults. The system has no faults. It's a very interesting point. So whatever the consequences of the system, for any person, good or bad, Krishna is not affected. Now, another point is that why is the system there? Because in the previous verse, we're talking about worshipping the demigods to get immediate benefits. But Krishna has a system that doesn't require you to worship the demigods in order to get what you want. You can follow the process he has set up to get all the things you seek. And that's called Varna, Chaturvarna. Very interesting point. Finally, the translation. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So this is Krishna's path. Mama Vartman Vartante, that everyone follows, is Guna Karma Vibhagasha. In other words, everyone is helplessly divided into a category by this criteria. You can't opt out. You can't say, well, I choose not to be part of this system. It is there, just like you could say, as you're born with a nose, you're also born with this category that's imposed upon you by, but so the question is, what is the criteria? Is it because I was in a rich family? Is it I was born north and south? Was I white when I was born? Was I black? The division is by guna karma, qualities and your activities. So now this vibhagasha, this division, makes 2 points. It makes a specific point and a general point. I want you to note this down if you can. So the general point is that Krishna is the creator of a mechanism that is imposed on all humans. and it influences their individuality. You know, this influences their individuality. You know, the thing we think of as ourselves as individual. In other words, you mentioned there are 4 kinds of people: choleric, sanguine, melancholy, and phlegmatic. These are such archaic English words. I'm amazed they come up. So anyway, people think we have a different personality. I like purple colors. I like, you know, but the point is, these are this is the general point. We are born with certain qualities and certain tendencies. And so Krishna is the creator of that. Of all these different likes and dislikes. All the different natures people have. But specifically, amongst everything, so that's the general point. But the specific point is, he's especially the creator of the 4 varnas. In other words, of all the differences that exist amongst humans, the most important division is their varna, in terms of their guna karma, in terms of their qualities and their activities. Everything else is not as important. So that's the specific point about it. Krishna is creator of everything, but especially because there's a significance to this. You see, there's a significance. People are born tall, short, fat, thin, and so on and so forth. So many different varieties, but the most important variety is their quality and their work. So Prabhupada begins the purport with that sentence. The Lord is the creator of everything. That means all divisions, all varieties. Everything is born of Him. Everything is sustained by Him. And everything, after annihilation, rests in Him. He is therefore the creator of the 4 divisions of the social order. So the point is, He is therefore also the creator of the 4 divisions of social order. Because He's the creator of everything, so there's the general point, and then there's a specific point. Okay. So the specific point has some interesting lessons we can learn. So Prabhupada says, he's the creator of the 4 divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of men, technically called Brahmanas. So now he's going to delineate what are these 4 social orders. According to the 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the Brahmana is discussed. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriya, due to their being situated in the mode of passion. The mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed modes of passion and ignorance, and the Shudras, or labor class, are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. So guna, Prabhupada here is referring to not qualities as in something other than the 3 modes of nature. He's referring to the 3 modes of nature, those qualities. Okay? And according to the mixture of how much proportion you have of goodness, passion, and ignorance, according to that you come into the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra category. Right? So it's helpless. If you have that particular proportion that puts you in one of these, you can't really change it. We're going to discuss change in this purport. But for now, you have to understand, it's a quality that's part and parcel with that body. We're talking about the human body. And it's going to be categorized in one of these 4 divisions according to the proportion of goodness, passion, and ignorance that you have. Okay, so basically if you have a predominantly proportion, main portion is goodness, then you are in the Brahmana. Main portion is passion, then you are Kshatriya. Then if there's a mixture of passion and ignorance, you're a Vaishya, and if it's ignorance, you're a Shudra. Okay. So a number of, there are some more developments, so we'll have to be patient. Of course, immediately we feel, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean? Ignorance, Shudra, what? You just, So we don't have to protest so much. Let's hear. In spite of his creating the 4 divisions of human society. So now Prabhupada goes to explain about Krishna first. In spite of his creating the 4 divisions of human society, Lord Krishna does not belong to any of these divisions, because he is not one of the conditioned souls, a section of whom form human society. So he is unaffected. He creates it, everyone is subject to it, but Krishna is not in one of these 4 divisions because he is not subject, he is not a conditioned soul. Human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate men from the animal status, the above mentioned divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. Now here is the interesting point. So is it to discriminate against some section of people, who are, you're not even using polite terms like, not so much in the mode of goodness. You're just saying mode of ignorance. So is it a discrimination? No, there's a reason for using these terms, and there's a reason for this classification, which is that if let's take the worst case scenario, which is the Shudra, the mode of ignorance. And how does it help me to know I'm in the mode of ignorance? Because now there are rules and regulations that apply to you in your category that will elevate you. Because if you apply the rules and regulations that apply to a person in a different category, they will not benefit you. You see? So that's very important. It's very important to know which category I actually belong to. In other words, from the Bhagavad Gita, I must know, I must learn what is my Varna. Because my duties apply accordingly. They're different. So this is a very interesting development. We're not looking at a philosophy that the object of that philosophy is to discriminate between a certain section, but it's to elevate everyone according to where they actually belong. For example, if you're a doctor and you have patients, you can't give the medicine of a disease the person doesn't have. You see, somebody says, I'm sick, and the doctor says, okay, you take some painkiller, He says, no, I want cancer medicine. You're not a cancer patient. You don't need cancer medicine. You don't need it. So it's not a competition. Oh, he is in the mode of goodness, and Prabhupada gave the example of a judge. You've heard this example of a judge? Somebody saying, why is the judge sitting on, he's getting all this honor, everyone stands up, he's paid very well. What does he do that justifies such nice treatment? I have to work very hard, and I don't have a chauffeur. There are certain judges who have their own chauffeur, and they're driven around, they're protected, security even. And so why is that? because Prabhupada said he has high responsibility. He's different. He's different than a laborer. So it's the same thing. A Brahmana, his medicine, his rules and regulations will be different from a Kshatriya. They'll be different from a Vaishya, and they'll be different from a Shudra. That's why. And that's why it's not helpful to deny which Varna you actually belong to. Very important that you actually know which one it is. Now there's another important theme to remember, because the discussion was, if you remember the word Kamshanta Karmanam Siddhi, hoping to get perfection in one's fruitive activities. You know, everyone is wanting some desire, some results. I know the most common one is money. You know, that's like everyone. But it's there are details to that money. There are all kinds of specific things we want. So these specific things. Now I'm going to use a word which I thought was very appropriate. When we are born and we have this guna, this proportion of goodness, passion, and ignorance, basically we are hardwired. We are hardwired in a certain way. You see, we're by design. That body is hardwired. It's going to want those desires. The Brahmana is hardwired in a certain way. The Kshatriya is hardwired in a certain way. The Vaishya, the Shudra. So that's important. Now Varnashram, it considers your hardwiring. You understand? Who doesn't understand the word hardwired, by the way? Because I'm using it. Only one person. How many of you do understand the word hardwired? Now that's very good. Now pass the mic, and I'd like to hear what you know is hardwired. There's a mic behind you. Give it to the first person near you. Give it to him. No, Prabhuji. Give it to him.
The way I understand it, it's your core wiring.
Beg your pardon?
Your core wiring.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to add something or subtract? Whatever you feel is hardwired, just let's expand upon it. Core wiring. What would you like to say? Say it in your words.
Tightly wrapped up with that thing, with that nature.
Tightly wrapped up with that nature. Okay, give it to him. Good.
With strong nature.
Strong nature. Okay, good.
Adapted to certain qualities.
Adapted to certain qualities. Okay, good.
Qualities and everything inside.
Qualities that are inside. Right, good. This is good. So in other words, they're inherent. For example, can this table help being hard? It's made of wood. It doesn't have the option of being soft. Wood. You see. Can water help itself if it's liquid? Well, it's water. In other words, it's an intrinsic nature, hardwired. It's the way it is. That's the way it is. Is that okay? Does that? You're okay.
I think it's strong nature.
Okay. Good. We have generous students there. Good. So Prabhupada mentions that in the purport that the idea is to elevate men from the animal status. In other words, he's already because no matter whether you're in the mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance, there are four things everyone wants: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And of course you can, elaborate on that. You can You can make it pink, yellow. You can varieties of eating, sleeping. Nice. Make it nicer. But each one likes it according to his modes. Just like food. Some people like not so chili, and some people, they do not like it without chili, right? So you're hardwired. That's the way you are. So the point is to elevate men from the animal status. So eating, sleeping, mating, defending has to be elevated. That's the point. Okay. So this is what Varnashram does. You're not an animal if you are following Varnashram. Now you're not. Because you're not just eating, sleeping, mating. Now you're trying to become purified. So, in other words, without this system of Varnashram, you are an animal. You're just the way you're hardwired. But Varnashram system looks at your hardwiring and gives you a system of life, a way of living for that person, which will take him above animal life, despite his modes of nature. That goes for not just the Brahmana, even the Shudra, everyone. So why am I explaining all these little things here? Actually, I definitely won't be doing the next verse today, and I had no intention to. Because I would like to address this one point. How many people have heard the word caste system? Yeah. And do you hear of it in a nice way? Oh, what a glorious caste system. It's always an attack. So all these explanations go to explain that Varnashram is actually a very sublime system. Very superior, very philosophically sound. And actually to not be in the caste system, so to speak, is bad. That's the tragedy. Not being in the caste system. I'm using the word caste system, but it's used in a very derogatory fashion. Caste simply means division, really. But it's made it look like as if you are discriminating arbitrarily against some people by birth. Now if you notice, there is no mention of birth. It's by qualities and activities. And these are determined by the proportion of goodness, passion and ignorance. And it is there. It is there. It's not, there's no point denying it. In Russia, in communist countries, they try to use the word comrade. But nobody becomes comrade just by saying comrade. One comrade is picking up the litter from the house of the other comrade. And the other comrade is just throwing litter. He is the boss. So it's a meaningless term. Comrade means equals. In other words, not higher, not lower. And yet they're higher and lower. And that is discrimination. But this is a system which recognizes differences and has a system which elevates everyone, regardless of which category they may belong to. So the other point is that Varnashram is also not only seen as prejudicial against people, but it's also seen as sectarian, meaning that it's being participated by people who it doesn't apply universally. But we're finding out, actually, just as from that example of comrading hasn't taken away these distinctions. So So Varnashram is not sectarian and it is not prejudicial either. In fact, Prabhupada is going to go into the purport and explain how when somebody transcends Varnashram, everyone can be a devotee. There's no bar against being a devotee. Very interesting. Okay, Prabhupada says, the tendency of a particular man toward a particular kind of work is determined by the modes of nature which he has acquired. So in other words, this tendency people have is not accidental. Again, it's by design. You're hardwired. You're hardwired to like a certain kind of work. Some people are hardwired to work with their hands. They have to do things. Some people like to think. Some people like to organize. Right? So like that. So these tendencies are there, determined by the modes. Such symptoms are described in the 18th chapter of this book. In other words, the various symptoms that people manifest and which varna they fall into is discussed. We're in the 4th chapter, so the 18th chapter goes into greater detail. So the other point we have to make is that, okay, there are 4 categories, but the point is you do have one, or you are in one of these categories. That's the point. You have no choice. Each man has a particular tendency, a particular guna, a particular quality, a particular mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you may be ignorant of it, but you do have it. You may not know. It's a bit like that example Prabhupada gave. A boy doesn't know who is his father, but he has a father. He doesn't know who he is, but he wouldn't be existing without one. So I may not know. I'm a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, but you are one of them. Okay, so the next part of the purport is that about knowing Krishna in truth, how that plays an important role in this system of varnashram. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmanas. So everyone has a particular tendency, but so in one sense Prabhupada is now mentioning the 5th category. By speaking of a man in Krishna consciousness, he says is above even the Brahmanas. That means he's in the 5th category. Although Brahmanas by quality are supposed to know about Brahman, the supreme absolute truth, most of them approach only the impersonal Brahman manifestation of Lord Krishna. So here, Prabhupada is going on that verse, Janma karma chami divyam evam yoveti tattvata, who knows me in truth. But a man who transcends his guna karma, the limited knowledge of Brahmana, and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, becomes a person in Krishna consciousness. Or in other words, a Vaishnava. In other words, you can transcend your guna karma through knowing Krishna. That's the kind of the gist of that particular sentence. If you know Krishna properly, you can, because knowing Krishna means knowing the absolute truth, not just the impersonal knowledge of the absolute truth, but the personal form. Then you are not subject. So basically this knowledge puts you in the 5th category out of these 4 varnas. Now such knowledge, if you think about it, is a knowledge that frees you from your guna. Now guna also means rope. So okay, you know hardwired. Hardwired means Another meaning is you're tightly bound by a rope. So you can become free from this rope, this bondage, by knowing Krishna. But it's not a knowing of Krishna theoretical. There's a transformative aspect to knowing Krishna. In other words, your modes of nature change. You're no longer subject to your goodness, passion and ignorance. You're no longer looking for eating, sleeping, mating, defending according to the modes of nature. So it's that kind of knowing Krishna that frees him from this bondage. So now Prabhupada says what it means to know Krishna. Krishna consciousness includes knowledge of all different plenary expansions of Krishna, namely Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, etc. And as Krishna is transcendental to this system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nations or species. So that's what I meant by devotees in the fifth category. Because now, okay, here's just like I mentioned, a person has a tendency for organizing, for thinking, for working with his hands. So a devotee basically is a person who has a tendency for devotional service. You're really not a devotee if you don't have that tendency. I mean, you can't artificially come out. You can't say comrade and become equal. You can't say devotee and become free from your guna karma. You're going to have a proclivity, a kind of helplessness towards doing devotional service. Just like a Shudra is helpless to work with his hands, a devotee is helpless to want to do devotional service. He has to. He must. Then we can say he's in the fifth category. Now, I have a number of references from Prabhupada's lectures. There are a number of them, so I'd like you to be patient, because he sheds light in very interesting ways on this one verse, very important verse really. This is in New York, 1966. Here's Mr. Goldsmith, a qualified lawyer. Although he's a lawyer, his son cannot claim also to be a lawyer. Very interesting. The son must qualify by passing the Bachelor of Law examination, and then he can be a lawyer. Similarly, Krishna tells us that the Indian caste system is not hereditary. In Vedic culture, in Vedic literature, it is according to the quality of the individual. Krishna says, Mami Partavya Pashita. Anyone who takes shelter of me regardless of his perceived material status can come to live in my kingdom. Tebi yanti paramgati. So, it is our duty to become twice born by Krishna consciousness and take another birth. Then we will be fulfilled as Brahmanas. Brahma Janati. As soon as we know Krishna, we are Brahmanas, whether born in America or Czechoslovakia or any other place. So try to become Brahmanas. 1966. It is interesting. When you could say our movement was not even a year old. Not even. He's telling everyone to become Brahmanas. This is, yeah. As soon as we know Krishna, we are Brahmanas, whether born in America or Czechoslovakia or any other place. So try to become Brahmanas. Okay, this is from a lecture in Bombay in 74. But how to become a Brahmana? where the first one left off, this one is carrying on. Is it by purchasing a few coppers worth of this thread and wearing it on the body? Right? Of course not. There are qualities to acquire and karma to consider. You have to act like a Brahmana, and you have to acquire the qualifications of a Brahmana. Muchi hai suchi hai. Although born in the family of a muchi, cobbler, he can become suchi, a Brahmana, by yadi Krishna bhaje. If he is a devotee of Krishna and if he is in Krishna consciousness. So remember that what I said, he has a proclivity for devotional service. And Suchi hoy, Muchi hoy, Yadi Krishna Tyaji. If one is born a Brahmana family, of a Brahmana family, but gives up Krishna bhajan, devotional life, he becomes a Muchi. Karmana, because he has changed his karma. Okay? His activities. The sad thing is, I don't know how you're going to recall all this, but it needs repeating here what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada actually puts in a lot of things in his words, and it needs repeated hearing. Okay, this is a conversation in Paris 73 with a professor, Prabhupada. So we are creating brahmanas in the Western countries. Yes? Professor. Yes, I know. Don't you think it's against the Dharma Shastra? Prabhupada. No. Professor. No. Tell me why. Prabhupada. Because in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Chaturvanya maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasha. There is no such thing as janma. Professor. Oh, very nice. Prabhupada. Also, in the Bhagavatam, there is a statement by Narada advising Maharaj Yudhishthira that Jasya yal lakshanam proktam punso varnabhi vyanjakam. There are symptoms of the Brahmana system. Samodama tapa saucham shantir arjavam. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the injunction of Narada. The symptoms, Brahminical symptoms, if found in the person who is born in a Shudra family, he should be accepted as a Brahmana. And if the Shudra symptoms are visible in a person born in a Brahmana family, he should be accepted as a Shudra. Paraupkar means everyone is asleep and believing that he is the body, just like cats and dogs. Therefore they should be raised to a spiritual consciousness and taught that you are not cats and dogs, you are Brahman. Just fulfill Aham Brahmasmi. We are awakening everyone. Utishta Jagrata Prapta Varam Nabodhata. You now have a human body, so get up and make your life successful by spiritual fulfillment. So Prabhupada is saying this Varnashram is the means of becoming spiritually fulfilled. Now this is a lecture in New York 1966 again. Lord Chaitanya and Krishna himself both say the same thing. To them, birth is no consideration. If I want to enter into the kingdom of Krishna, if we want to be Krishna conscious, there is no impediment. It is open for everyone. Chatur Varnya Maya Srishtam. The opportunity is there for each of us to become a Brahmana, to become a great devotee of Lord Krishna and to become the spiritual master of the world. I think you should take this seriously. I am an old man, and if some of you at least would understand and take up this science, you would really benefit this country and the world. That is my request to you, that you take this opportunity and become a spiritual master for all the people. You know, there's that dispute about Prabhupada did not want anybody to be Guru, by the way. So, thus ends chapter 4, text 13. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?